I said, I want you to try something. I want you to see what mic works the best for you. And I brought all these microphones out there, the PR40, the RE27, all of them, the SM, the Elvis mic, and she liked them all. But then when I put the 77 on, she goes, why does that mic sound so much better? I said, well, there you go. And I called Bob on the phone. I said, there's a testament to somebody that doesn't know anything about what makes these cartridges work. But I can tell you that if Janet knows that she hears a difference, it's making a difference.
Roger, Roger. Now, that is a dynamic mic, not a condenser mic, Roger.
Yeah. Look up on, like I said, go ahead and look it up on the QRZ page. You'll see it. It's basically, if you remember the old broadcast mics that Walter Cronkite used and the rest of the gang, they call them the pill mics, the vertical pill mics that were on booms or on stands sometimes. This is the AWHILE version, the updated cartridge version of the old industry standard for broadcast, both television and radio, the RCA77. That's what this is.
Oh, Roger, RCA77DX, Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now that was the round one or the kind of boxy rectangular one?
No, it's the round one. It looks like a gigantic aspirin, only like an ibuprofen.
Roger, Roger. The boxy one was a 44BX, I think.
Correct.
Yeah, it really sounds nice. Nice. Those microphones were actually ribbon microphones. The RCAs were ribbon microphones, I think.
You're correct. Again, well, you know your stuff. What's nice about this too, Jim, is you'll hear this. Here, everybody's got a different input signal, meaning the frequency of their voice, bassy, treble. Sometimes you got to add this or that. But on the very side of this mic, he's put a switch in, which is basically an audio filter that you can switch in and out, and you can roll off the low end from 100 hertz down, and I'll do that right now. This is in the music side, so it's opening the cartridge up to full, and I'm going to switch it right there. It's on the side of that's in voice, so that's going to roll off everything below 100 hertz. Some people like that better for DX. Some people like the other one better for whatever they're doing. But it's the nice thing is you don't have to be an engineer to do it. You just switch it, and there you go. And I'm not doing anything except for grabbing the mic body and switching that switch.
Roger, Roger. So that's basically low frequency roll off, and the top end curve from 1K on up is the same, Roger?
Yeah, everything from 100 hertz on up basically is the same. It's just rolling off the bottom 100 hertz.
Roger. And what would you think the upper end response roll off frequency would be?
It runs at about 18K. It's cartridge can be metered to 20K, but you'll see a frequency attenuation starting at around 18.
Roger. Well, it seems to have. I'm watching your signal on a VU meter, and seems to have real good top end. Just like a condenser microphone. It would not be that much better in the top end.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I told Bob, I called him on the phone, I said, I don't know what you've done here, but this one is, and I tell him that all the time. I say, man, I like this, I like that, I like your PL2T boom, but here's the deal. This mic has gotten more accolades, unsolicited accolades from people that don't know me. I'm not out here, I don't make any money selling mics for Bob. I'm just reporting in the field what people are saying, and I'll tell you what, I've never seen a mic do this. But anyway, I got to run. Send me an email to my email address on there is good it's my call sign at charter.net. And I'll be back in 20 to 12 here in the north. I would say probably by 1 o'clock, 1:30 Central.
Oh, Roger, Roger. Yeah, I have been rolling a little bit of tape. If you give me one more demonstration about your power. Right now you're running about 400 watts. If you could drop down to that 3-watt position for the next transmission, if that's possible.
Yeah, just a switch in the back. I'm down to 3 here now, so there's the difference right there. And like I said, the only thing I did was switch the switch, and I'll do it in live time if I can reach back. And there it is right there. The amplifier's behind me and to the left. And so here it is at 3 watts. And there's about 400, so you can kind of see that's in real time. I'm not doing anything to the beam, not doing anything to the audio or anything else, and I'll do it one more time as I switch back here, and we're back down to 4 watts. Well, great talking with you, Jim, and I will see you in a little bit. Send me, if you want to get on the air again this afternoon, I'm going to leave it sitting right here. I got to run and do some running around up here locally, and we'll get back to you. Whiskey Delta 9, Sugar Echo Fox, Wausau.
Sounds great, Larry. Thank you very much. 3's out of the way, and we'll try to get up with you later on this frequency. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor.
Okay, sounds good.
Whiskey 8, Bravo, Bravo, Lima.
Go ahead, Bravo, Bravo, Italy.
Whiskey 8, Bravo, Bravo, Lima. My name is Bill in a town called Willoughby, Ohio, about 15 miles east of Cleveland, right against the Lake Erie shores. And I've been listening to you guys. You yourself, you got some real nice audio going there.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. And what was your location again?
I'm located in a town called Willoughby, Ohio, 15 miles east of Cleveland, and I'm right against the Lake Erie shores. Go ahead.
Oh, Roger. Well, you're beautiful signal down this way. We're located on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville, Kentucky. Roger.
Oh, Roger. I missed your call. What's your call?
Call here is KC9VKV, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor.
All right, copy the KC9 Victor, Kilo Victor. Nice to meet you there. Yeah, you're doing a fine job up here. How's the weather down there by the river?
Well, I think it's trying to warm up. It was down around 30 degrees here for the past 2 or 3 days, but I haven't been outside this morning. But I think it's warming up, or it's supposed to be anyway.
Yeah, same here. We've been having it in the 20s, and with the wind chill down in the teens. But right now, I'm holding at 31 degrees, and it's kind of a wet 30 degrees. I cleaned the driveway, and now it's pretty cleaned up, but wet from melting, even though it's only 30. But they say we're going to get some wintry mix, is what they're calling it up here against the lake.
Oh, Roger, on the wintry mix. I'm about done with winter, actually. I'm ready to move on, just take on right to summer,
Yeah, Roger. Yeah. Not too bad. I heard you guys talking. I just wanted to step out there and let you know you got some real fine audio on your station there. What are you running?
This is a homebrew condenser microphone into ART preamp, into a 3rd octave equalizer, then into an older Yaesu 990, and then to even probably older SB 220, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Nice setup. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm running 7300 into an 811, Amatron 811, and then through my Palstar AT2K and out to my fan dipole that I created last year and put up. It's doing a good job. I'm really happy with the fan dipole.
Roger, Roger. Now, I've been threatening to put up fan dipole, but I've got probably about 4 dipoles, inverted V's, coming off the tower, and there was a lot of effort to put those up. And I've got we got a little tuning method to the madness on these dipoles. On the ground side of the dipole, I use that for adjusting the SWR. And on the high side of the dipole, I use that for bringing it on frequency. So I'm going back and forth, and these dipoles now are running like 1.01 to 1, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Well, it's doing a good job. You're coming up here real nice. Usually that type of a hop for me I don't hit. So, no, good job. Good station. I'm impressed.
Thank you, sir, very much. And could you come back with your call sign again phonetically?
Absolutely. It is Whiskey 8, Bravo, Bravo, Lima, W8BBL.
Roger, Roger. And the handle there?
The name is Bill, Bravo, India, Lima, Lima.
Roger, Roger, Bill. And just out of curiosity, what kind of power are you running now?
Right now I'm running about 400.
Oh, roger that. Yeah, we're running about audio, about 950.
Oh, yeah, doing a good job. Yeah, this 811, it's not the 811.8, so this one will do about 600 peak, and I'm running it right about 4. I don't like to max the stuff out.
Oh, roger that. Now, on that fan dipole, was it very much a problem tuning those, and what kind of SWR are you running?
I had this thing tuned. I got the elements on it are 15, 20, and 40, and or the wires, and I had it resonant on those bands without a tuner, but I was running RG8. And then I went and switched to ladder line because it's just much more efficient. I mean, it does a much better job. And then I started retuning it, and then the cold weather came. So, I mean, with my tuner, I'm running an absolute flat match, 80 through 6. But when the weather gets back to where it's a little warmer, I got to go out and do some retuning. It does take some tuning, you know, dropping the ends down and either lengthening or shortening and, you know, getting it where you want to be. But I tell you, once you have it there, it's phenomenal.
Roger. Now, you converted from RG8 to, what, 300 ohm or 600 ohm?
450 ladder line.
Roger, roger. And I assume that when you did that, your SWR shifted quite a bit?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I had to start retuning the whole antenna all over again. I wish I would have just started with ladder line to begin with, but you know, I was trying to figure out a way to run the ladder line because you can't have it against metal and you can't lay it on the ground. Luckily, I have a vinyl siding house, so it wasn't too much of an issue once I figured it out, and I just ran it along the bottom of the siding, so it's about a foot up off the ground. But yeah, it's doing a good job. I'm happy with it.
Roger. Now you're running that all the way into the radio, or are you switching to coax at any point?
I have it coming to the wall on the house here, and then I switch to RG8, which runs about maybe about 7 foot of RG8 in the shack to the tuner.
Roger. And are you just doing one strand of RG8 or double RG8?
Just the, you know, the center and shield to the fan dipole. I don't have the fan dipole tied to the center, no. I thought about it because then I could, you know, probably run 160 better. My match on 160 is running about a 1.8, sometimes pushing 2, so I really won't run it down there. I got to do something with my 160. I know if I ran the ladder line to the center, I'd probably be able to run 160 real good.
Roger. So your fan dipole actually is doing 160 also?
Yeah, but not real well. Maybe once I retune it. Like I said, I didn't quite get to tune it as much as I wanted before the cold weather hit, and my body just doesn't like cold weather, so I had to stop. But I'm happy. I can tune it down to the highest match I have is a 1.3 on 80 meters at the edge of the band, or the bottom of the band. And I'm real happy with that. Right now I'm running this, and I'm a 1.1 right now.
Roger, roger. So you're doing your tuning mid-band?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And say on 40, you have equal SWR at either end of the band, like what, 1.2 or 3?
Yeah, I run a 1.1 all the way through 40. You know, from the bottom up to the top of the band, it stays the same. A little bit of tuning, but it stays the same.
Roger, that's amazing that you don't have you know, increasing SWR on the edges. And I wanted to ask you also, what do you think the efficiency difference was between running the RG8 and your new transmission line?
Well, a buddy of mine sent me a program, real fantastic program, and you put in your, you know, your feed line length and what you're running and your antenna type and all that information. And with my RG8, I was running, you know, it was DX Engineering's RG8, I was running about 85, 86% efficiency, and when I switched it to ladder line, according to the graphs, I'm now running about a 96 to 97% efficiency, so it really peaked it up.
Wow, like 10%, Roger?
Yeah, Roger. It's definitely a difference on the ladder line. I was always a skeptic about ladder line, but no, I'm absolutely convinced after, seeing the numbers and seeing the graph and everything else that I'm convinced, and I'm getting some real good reports.
Roger, Roger. Now, would you think that the Q of the circuit for the dipole, as far as SWR and the outer edges, is better using the ladder line, more linear, as opposed to the RG8?
Yeah, from what I can tell so far, yeah. I really need to get it to do an apples-to-apples comparison. I need to get myself, like I said, when I had the RG8 up, I had the dipole at its 15, 20, and 40. I had a resonant center of the band without a tuner. I don't have it quite there with the ladder line yet. Once this weather lets me get out there and do a little more fine-tuning, then I can kind of do an apples-to-apples.
Oh, Roger that, Roger that. Well, this sounds really good, really good. I've, like I say, been tempted to experiment with the fan dipole because of, you can get a lot of bands out of one antenna and one transmission line, as opposed to like what I've got now, 4 different inverted V's, and all the transmission lines go in there, and I have to use a rotary switch on my tuner bypass to pick those up, and I could just be using one transmission line to a fan dipole.
Yeah, the buddy I was talking about who sent me that program, he's got a off-center-fed 160, and he actually has 453 feet or something like that, and he tunes from 160 all the way through. And I mean, he's really getting out on the program. Another program he showed me it's got the number 4, then NEC, then the number 2, and you fill that with the data of the antenna. It actually shows you the wave patterns and everything. But it's a real complex program. I have not quite got a grasp on that yet. But he's a mathematical genius, so. He's got it down. He sent me his file so I can kind of look at it. But that thing will show you, the wave pattern of what's coming off, the radials and everything. Real nice.
Roger that. Now, when you come through the wall with your coax, I assume RG8 or something like that, and you get outside and you make the conversion to your ladder line, are you just simply taking one side of the ladder line to the high side of the coax and the other side of the ladder line to the shield of the coax?
Yeah, absolutely. But actually I've got it, the connection on the inside. I had, because I wanted, you gotta watch and stay away from a certain footage on your ladder line for the band, and so I had to run about 15 extra feet of ladder line in my shack, and because of that I was getting RF. That's why I cut it back to the wall. So the connection's actually right on the inside of the wall, but I've got a bookcase and stuff in front of that, so I shielded it, and then the bookcase also helps. But it's on the inside of the house is where I've got the connection. But to answer your question, yes, I got the shield going to one side of the ladder line and the center going to the other.
Roger, Roger, Bill. Well, this really sounds good down this way. And as I was mentioning earlier, I have a QSO vlog page, and I've been rolling some video on our QSO. And you are sounding really good, and I'll probably be posting this on my QSO vlog page on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that'll take you to the QSO vlog page, and right at the top there's one entity that has all of our QSOs on there, about 130. And if you open that up, we'll probably post, this one would be posted right towards the top, just under Art Bell, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Thank you very much for letting me know. I'd like to see how it's reacting. You have a station on your talking, people tell you that you're doing a good job, but unless you hear it on the other end, you really don't know.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, I think we just ran out of conditions, Bill. So let me say 3 Zetaway, sir. Enjoy the QSO. You have a real good day. And this is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor.
This is Kilowatt 4 Tango Foxtrot. I can hear both of you.
Yeah, Bill just faded out to me, man. I have a pot up all the way, man. He's gone.
KC9VKV, that was WADEL, who you were talking to. This is K4TF. He just said 73. Good talking to you. He'll look for the YouTube video.
Roger, Roger. I appreciate the relay there, man. That band really just it just went to 0. I mean, I don't even think probably I'm making it next doors right now.
Well, you're making it down here to Raleigh, North Carolina. This is Bill, K4TF in Raleigh. You're sounding good here, 5-9.
Roger, Bill. Thank you so much, sir. And thanks for the relay.
Yes, sir. You're very welcome. Have a great afternoon. And both of you guys have a great afternoon. KC9VKV and WADL, this is K4TF. Have a good afternoon.
The Georgia station, come back with your call sign again.
Kilowatt 4 Tango Foxtrot.
Roger, Roger. I think if you come up on mic just for a minute, let me see what happens here. Come up on that mic a little bit.
Are you talking to me, Kilo 4 Tango Foxtrot?
Roger, Roger. Yeah, I think you might be a little undermodulated.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very possible. I haven't really adjusted the modulation on this this ICOM 7200 since I've owned it. I've had it just for a short while.
Roger, Roger. What I'm seeing is I'm watching your signal on or listening to your signal, the audio on a VU meter, and it'll go all the way to like a +1, and then as you're just talking, it falls back to a -5, then it'll jump up to a +1. So I think you might need a little more audio in the mic chain, Roger.
Roger, Roger. All right, I'll give it a try and see what I can adjust. Thank you for that tip. I appreciate that.
Oh, Roger, Roger. I can hang out if it's not, if you could do it now, I could give you a little observation on it.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, appreciate that. And what was your handle?
Name here is Jim, Juliet India Mike, and we're located just beside Louisville, Kentucky, on the other side of Louisville, we're on the other side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville.
Ah, very nice, Jim. All right, well, you have a good signal here, sounding good. Okay, my mic gain is 60 on the 7200 here, so I'm going to go to, mic gain is 70 now, same vocals, gain, same distance from my mouth. Now I'll go to 80 on the mic gain. This is 80, 80, 80. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. This is 90. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. How about that?
Sounding good. Still sounds, just come right up on the mic just for a minute. Let's see where it goes.
Okay, there it is right up on the mic.
Oh, wow, man, that's beautiful. You won't believe. You went from, like barely moving the VU meter all the way up to 0. So that's, a lot better. Come on back. Let me hear you a little bit more working that close mic.
All right, very good. Will do. Well, thanks for that tip. And didn't realize the audio was that low. Appreciate that very much. Yeah, I'm right up on the mic now. I guess as a mobile rig, you want to have the mic right to your mouth, so maybe that's what I should do from now on.
Yeah, Roger. I think the closer you get it, the better it is. You were probably running about maybe 5 or 10% modulation in the beginning.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. You're sounding excellent here. You have that rig you're on, and the mic you're using sounds like the broadcast quality over here.
Thank you, sir. That's what we're looking for. I have caught a couple of places on YouTube where they say Voodoo Audio, and frankly, to me, it just sounds like, bleh. I mean, it's just compressed, and I don't know. Just what I'm looking for is kind of a natural, fairly broadbanded audio, but not super compressed. Roger.
Roger. Well, let me play you back to yourself. I just recorded you. This is K4TF recording KC9VKV. That is your call, right? KC9VKV, Victor Charlie Victor?
Victor Kilo Victor.
Victor Kilo Victor. Okay. Okay, here you go.
Broadbanded audio, but not super compressed. Oh, Roger. Thank you so much.
Sure, you're welcome. So you see, you sound pretty good here.
Roger. Well, I've been running some videotape on our QSO here, and so I've got you the earlier part of our QSO on video. I'm probably will post it on YouTube there. If you do a call letter search on YouTube, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that'll bring up our QSO vlog page, and right at the top of that page we have probably one of those entities has about 130 QSO'S in it, and as we post them, they come down from the top, so this one would be right up towards the top. So if you'd come back one more time, I've got your call as Kilo 4 Tango Foxtrot.
Right, yes, Kilo 4 Tango Foxtrot here in Holly Springs, North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. And what was the town?
It's called Holly Springs. It's about 30 minutes south of Raleigh.
Roger. I've in commercial radio for 50 years, and I did work the Fayetteville Fort Bragg market, 2 stations, WFLB in Fayetteville, and at the time WFBS at Fort Knox. At Fort Bragg.
Oh, okay, excellent. Were you a DJ or working as an engineer?
Production director for those 2 stations, and weekend air shifts, Roger.
Roger. Excellent. Wow, that's great. I bet that was interesting. So I've been doing satellite communications on the marine world now for 27 years. So that's what I've been doing. I bet that was interesting. Production director at the radio station.
Roger. And I think you might have got off mic a little bit there. I could see it peaking up. It's what it is your average percentage of modulation. If you're not right up on that mic, the average percentage of modulation is quite low. So when you come up on it, boy, your average really comes up, Roger.
Roger, thank you for the reminder. I'll have to remember to do that on this ring. Thank you. I was just saying that your production director job at the radio station must have been very really interesting.
Gosh, I kind of lost you almost there. Come back with your name one more time, please, sir.
Sure, my name is Bill. Bravo India Lima Lima.
Roger, Bill. Well, these conditions are kind of shifting around somewhat. The QSO before this, man, it just went, just faded to 0. I had nothing but noise there, so maybe this one, our conditions will come back a little bit, Roger.
Roger. Well, you're still booming in here. You're 40 over, and just as loud as can be. How many watts are you running, and what kind of rig and antenna?
Roger. The station is a homebrew condenser microphone, into ART preamp, into a 3rd octave equalizer, then up to the tabletop, and I have a 6-position rotary switch to select the radio, and then a toggle on, toggle off talk button. Then it goes to an older Yaesu 990, and then from that to an even older SB220, and then up to a dipole, about inverted V dipole, about 40 feet, Roger.
Roger, very interesting. Well, you did a great job on that mic. But of course, working at the radio stations, I guess you probably picked up some professional tips on that, as well as being a ham and reading all about it. Excellent. Well, you're sounding great here. I'm running 95 watts between inverted V up about 78 feet in the trees, and just the Icon 7200. And I have 5 other rigs. This is the one I chose to use this morning.
Roger. Did you say you had 5 other radios?
Yes, I did. I have a Yaesu FT757GX, still working great. I have a Yaesu FT101E, which needs receives probably the relay needs either cleaned or replaced. And I have a great rig, a Kenwood TS830S, which is my favorite rig of all time. And Yaesu FT900 over there. So, and also a FT60 handy talk.
Oh, roger that, roger that. Well, that radio that might be in need of a TR relay, if you're working on that one, have it that relay exposed. If you take the insulated end of a screwdriver, and if you're getting to a position where you think it's not making contact, and you just tap that relay, it'll probably go into a conduction mode, and it'll start working. If that's the case, then what I've always used is I turn the radio upside down, from the bottom, so things run out of it, and I use WD-40 on the contacts. I mean, everybody's got their choice of liquid, but I found that WD-40, it gives me about 2 years on that relay before I have to do it again. And if it's a sealed relay and you've got an idea, if you can see the contacts and how it all lies inside the sealed part, if you take an oversized bit and just drill in through that plastic, oversized bit will give you a very flat end going in, so you're not going to punch through all of a sudden, and get it big enough to get a straw in there and get that WD-40 in that way, Roger.
Roger. Sounds very good. Interesting idea. Yeah. I will give that a try. I appreciate that tip.
Roger, Roger. I did, after 50 years in broadcast, I opened a recording studio, and we would always, when we went on remotes the day before, I would just usually run through all my connections with WD-40, and I never had any intermittent connection problems with jacks and plugs and stuff like that. That's one of the problems when you do remote situations. It's not like you do that every day, so the equipment is there, but has a tendency to need a little TLC the day before you actually go on a remote. So I would always just use WD-40 all the connections and never had a problem, Roger.
Roger. Yeah, those XLR cables and all the different cables that you probably had to use. Sure. Yeah, I've used WD-40 for many uses. It's amazing how many uses you can use out of that. But yeah, it's contact cleaner. Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you for that tip, Jim. And I better get back to it over here. I'm working on some chores, and better take care of them. And I better get off the air for now. But really, really good talking to you. I appreciate the QSO, and I'll look on YouTube. And thanks for the audio advice as well. And Very fascinating 50 years of broadcasting. Wow, I'd love to talk to you some more. Are you normally around this frequency around this time on Saturday?
Not usually. I've somehow wound up on this frequency last night. I was doing a little audio work at about 2 or 3 o'clock this morning, and on this frequency. So as to not cause problems, but this was RF related, so I had to run the box up and be on the air to to get the solve the problem that I was working on. So I just happened to be here at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, so that's where it was when I started this morning, Roger.
Roger. Very good. Yeah. Excellent. Well, I was just tuning around. I was down in the CW area there, 7009, 7011, 12, and there was not really much activity down there. And I came up to band and heard a few people. Of course, 7200's going crazy as always. Then I thought I'd come up to South Cars 7251, but they're already done. So, yeah, but your signal's booming in here. Couldn't be louder. So, well, great talking to you, Jim, and thank you again for this great QSO. I appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you again one day.
Roger, Bill. 3 is that away, sir. You have a real good day. Enjoy it. Hopefully you got nice weather there. So we'll catch you later. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor. Be clear.
Thanks, Jim. Yep, weather here is pretty nice. Not too bad. Hope so for you, too. All the best now. KC9 Victor Kilo Victor. This is Kilo 4 Tango Foxtrot. Have a good day.
Roger, 3 is KC9VKV, clear.
KC9KCV KA4MRW.
The MRW station, come back with your call sign again, please, sir.
Kilo Alpha 4 Mike Radio Whiskey.
Roger that. This is KC9VKV, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor. Name is Jim, Juliet India Mike.
All right, well, the handle here is Mike India Kilo Echo. Did you say that call was Kilo Charles 9 Victor Charles Victor?
Victor Kilo Victor, Roger.
Okay, I got it there. I was just monitoring y'all's QSO there, and I think you said you had to work on a few things. Audio sounds good. I'm located in Rome, Georgia, about 50 miles south of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and about 70 miles northwest of Atlanta. And just want to say your station's sounding good. Audio is good and clear and loud. Got a good signal when you're there, 5.9 plus there. And just want to let you know whatever you was working on. Of course, I don't think anybody's ever said they use WD-40 on a contact. That's probably, it's a good application. Like you say, everybody has their choice of liquids, but if they use it, I don't think they've ever admitted it there, Roger.
Roger. Well, see, I was in commercial radio for 50 years, and I opened up my own recording studio and had a custom mix audio console with, these were, I'm still at that point, rotary mix controls, this was like in 79, and you spend 50 years twirling knobs, you're not exactly ready to start doing sliders, so this console was still rotary pot sealed AB Allen Bradley control pots, and after about 4 years the AB pots started getting a little staticky. You would hear that on low frequencies as you turn them down, mix them down. Low frequencies would tend to be scratchy. You could hear a scratch. And it was quite difficult to replace those pots. There was quite a few of them. This console was like a 20 mix board console, so it was quite a bit of labor involved to replace those pots. So I just got me a drill, a wide bit, and drilled these sealed AB pots to to the point that I could get a straw, WD-40 straw in them, and sprayed, and then manipulated the pot back and forth about 10 or 15 times from one end to the other. And we were back in business for about 3 years till it started to occur again, and I would just, I already had the pots drilled. I just took a can of WD, went through, and we're good for 4 more years. So that is that console. I haven't used it in a while. I'm retired now, but it did work for 25 years that way, and I'm sure if I'm ready to go back in the business there, I would take me a can of WD and spray those, and we'd be right back on top, Roger.
Yeah, roger that. Well, sounds like a pretty good way to do it, no doubt about it there. I was looking up your QRZ page there and realized you're in New Albany, Indiana. I used to go out there for work, right? You're right there on the other side of the Ohio River from Louisville there, and we used to venture on the other side of the river there from time to time and see that said you work for a major AM broadcast facility at 50,000 watts. What type of transceiver did y'all use at that facility? Was that like a 3CX 20,000 type of tube, or what was y'all using there?
I'm not really sure. That transmitter, this is WHAS, 50,000 watt clear channel, and the transmitter was probably about 15 or 20 miles away in, oh gosh, I forget what the name of the town was, but I never actually went to the transmitter site, Roger.
Yeah, roger that. Well, you know, when you talk about amplifiers and transmitters and these radio stations that run all day, every day, you know, they got to keep the air real low and all, and I've just always been interested to see what actually is in their transmitter facility, you know, and that thing just keeps running 24/7, you know, and you look at, you know, I'm running an Ameritron AL82, you know, and it's got a long key down time, you know, longer than I would stay on air, but I just kind of like to see how they, you know, if that thing goes offline, what they use to come back and keep it going while they do any type of maintenance work and stuff. Just kind of interested to see one of them facilities one day.
Oh, roger that. I think they had 3 separate 50 kW transmitters out there. Some dating, the first one, I don't think you ever discard a 50 kW transmitter. They had the room to expand, so they just kept adding new transmitters, and like I say, I think there was about 3 50Ks out there. That transmitter building was serviced by 2 different power companies. 2 separate power companies had power going to that transmitter site, so in case one fell down, they had totally another power company serving their needs. And obviously, you know, 50 kW does a lot of water cooling, so they had the typical, and probably have the typical water pond in front of the transmitter building, where they would would run their coolant pipe through that to cool it down. It was a sealed water cooled situation for those finals, and as I understand it, the coax feeding the antenna was a 2-foot trench, actually a 2-foot gosh, I don't want to say anyway, 2-foot wide copper covered trench that went out to the transmitter, and the center piece was solid copper, probably about 5 or 6 inches in diameter. Roger.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I'm sure they had to have something hefty there to keep the RF down and to be able to transfer that amount of current through the broadcast signals there. But anyway, we was, like I said, we was in there listening and kind of monitoring y'all's previous QSO, and we just wanted to come in there and see what kind of trip we were making out your way there. And like I said, we see you're in New Albany, Indiana, because you're sounding real choice here in Rome, Georgia. And I'm using a Yaesu FTX or FTDX 5000, and with the Ameritron AL82, and antenna tuner is a AT2K PAL-Star, and I'm running on the vertical side. I got a 43-foot vertical with no ground radials out, designed and built by 05 Antennas up in Chicago, Illinois there, Roger.
Oh, Roger, Roger. Well, you know, that's a totally different beast there. That vertical radiator without ground radios is amazing. You know, obviously in broadcast AM transmitters, they all have, you know, tremendous ground radio saturation. I forgot how many degrees apart, but quite a few in the ground there to make that vertical antenna work. And the fact that they can do that on your antenna without having horizontal ground radios is just amazing, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. Well, it is recommended to have, I think it was a minimum of 8 or 9. And I had all intentions, and may still, to putting the ground radials down. But after I got it up, I got it stood up, and it's just got a, you know, a hinge on it where, you know, one person can raise and lower it to do any type of maintenance or removal or whatever process is. I just dug the pole, dug the hole with the post hole digger and stuck some Satcrete down in there, and with my Schedule 40 pipe, and let it cure and set up for a week. And anyway, I put the antenna up, and I said, well, let me just go in here and test it. And walked in and was receiving well and transmitting well. And I said, well, heck, if I'm doing this good without it, what's the point of putting the radios out? And we don't have any problem hearing, and I guess from what we're being told, we don't have any problem transmitting. And we're using a AWHILE HM12 microphone here, and don't have no audio board or anything, just using the audio settings in the Yaesu 5000 that I adjusted, and kind of just on the monitor side back in the headphones, just got it to where I thought it sounded right, and a little bit better from the factory setting. So that's pretty much how we set ours up there, Roger.
Roger, sounds really good. Sounds good. And just out of curiosity, what kind of SWR are you running on that vertical radiator?
Well, with the PAL-Star AT2K antenna tuner, I am just about perfectly flat. When I hit my highs on the peaks, it just barely cracks the needle over the 0 mark, so it's less than 1.1.
Roger, Roger. What is it without the tuner?
Well, it depends on, you know, what type of power. Obviously, we're running into it. I guess the highest I've ever seen it non-tuned, you know, into the tuner was probably about a 1.8, 1.5.
Roger that. Roger. Well, that's easy compensation with the tuner there. I was just curious. And on that antenna, I'm not seeing one, but do they do any? What do they do on the as the transmission line comes into the vertical radiator? What do they do with the shield side? Do they have actual lead counterpoise going down from that?
Well, it's got a ballon, has a ballon, and screw your coax into the ballon, obviously, and your positive side connects to your antenna on the ballon, and your negative side goes to a ground rod. So I got a 6-foot ground rod pounded in the ground there, and it's got about maybe 2 inches sticking above ground level there with a clamp with a solid copper ground wire, probably I don't know, maybe half-inch thick. Stuck down there. I wanted to make sure I had a real good contact on my ground. But I think it's a 4-to-1 ballon, if I remember correct.
Roger that. Well, you might, just out of curiosity, might take you a couple of 10-foot ground rods and put one on either side of the one that you've got there and tie them all together and see what that does to your SWR. I'm sure that you're probably shy on the ground side of your match, so if you put a little more, ground rod in the earth, you might help your problem or your SWR, lower your SWR. And the other alternative to that would be just to take one horizontal ground situation out there about I don't know, 66 feet or so. If you've got that kind of space, just one might really also lower your SWR, you know.
Yeah, roger that. KA4MRW. Yeah, I've thought about, all I got to do is just go to Lowe's and just get a spool of 14 gauge copper coated wire and just run it up to the negative side of the terminal off the balun. And I thought about putting out about 4, because I am kind of limited on the space. I live in a subdivision, so I don't, and that was the whole reason of choosing the 43-foot vertical, because there is enough room, but I just didn't want to, I guess in better terms, trash up my location with a bunch of wires hanging everywhere. And, cause, this area I live in had a covenant in it, and it has expired, and so I kind of felt if I got it too trashy looking, for better sense, they might want to enact something, and then I'd have to regroup with something else, But the antenna just really almost looks like a flagpole, and actually I thought about buying the flagpole antenna that 05 makes. If you go online and just Google 05 built or made antennas, you'll see all of the antennas he builds and designs and ships out, and I've been very, very happy with the 43-footer here. But you are right. I actually thought about almost not doing a full closed loop, but putting out some ground radials out in almost a horseshoe shape and tying them together and see how that worked. Of course it's 55 degrees and raining here today, but we've had a little bit of a winter here. But I figured kind of when spring comes around, I thought about trying a few different things just to see if we do have any type of difference, maybe on the receive or maybe even with our FWRs there.
Oh, roger that. Well, obviously that antenna is doing you a great job. I mean, you're coming in here 5, 9 times 2. Roger.
Yeah, roger that. Well, like I say, I've always had some good compliments on the signal. I would never, have any problem receiving what everybody else can pretty much pick up. Depends on maybe the things. I don't think it's going to make a whole lot of difference, but it's not it is in Virginia, and pretty huge somebody doing that day, 43, and he said he couldn't hardly hear anything. They put out a bunch of ground radios, but then his noise level shot up to about a F9, but now it's, coming into his receiver, you can't hear him if there's a ground noise or up to an F9, so you got to have a big booming station to come in, and my ground noise right now is F2, so I feel like I got lucky with what I had here.
Roger, Mike. Conditions are such that I think we've about lost our conditions here. You are faded down to the noise level there, so I think Mother Nature says we're about done. So 3's down that way, Mike. And like I say, I have this QSO vlog page on YouTube. If you do a call letter search, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that'll take you to the QSO page, and right at the top is one that has about 130 QSO'S. And I've been recording this one, and there's about 2 or 3 others that I'm recording on. I just let it roll. So I think I'll post them all together since they did happen almost sequentially. So if you get a chance, drop by YouTube and do the call letter search, Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and we should be right there at the top of the page. And the one that shows that there's 130, this one would be somewhat just below Art Bell. Roger.
Yeah, roger that. I just typed it into YouTube there and see where your page come up there, and like you said up there, your radio room's real interesting there. I think got a lot of good memorabilia there, and I see where you got the Jim Ferguson radio stories on there. But Jim, it's been great talking to you. It's around along with them. We've got to go out with the wife today and go by from there so we can keep facing with you and a little bit of battle today. Jim, tell me, Jason, I'm glad we got to make contact with you, and we'll be able to find you.
Roger, Roger, Mike, you have just faded out totally there, but I'll say three's down that way. Enjoy the QSO. You have a real good day, and this will be KC9VKV. Will be clear?
KC9VKV from Delta Papa Tango.
Station ending in Charlie. Come ahead.
Yeah, Victor Echo 3, Foxtrot, Mike Charlie.
Roger, Roger, Mike Charlie. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. Name is Jim, Juliet, India Mike.
Yeah, good afternoon, Jim. Name here is Rick, Romeo India Charlie Kilo. I've been kind of sitting here listening to you off and on here. Hang on. Oh, here we go. Off and on here for the last half hour, 3/4 of an hour or so. QTH here is St. Thomas, Ontario. I'm about 120 miles, 110 miles northeast of Detroit, Michigan, just north of Lake Erie here. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger, Rick. Coming in loud and clear, sir. The old band is kind of flexing back and forth. We'll see how it goes. We are located on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville, Kentucky, Roger.
Okay. Well, you've been pretty solid up here. I've been sitting here listening to you for your last couple of QSO'S there, and you've been pretty steady up here. You haven't disappeared very often, so in between you and me, fairly good condition. Station here is a Yaesu FTDX 1200. We're running about 700 watts here to an inverted V. And microphone is a Heil Golf Mic 5 on the wide position. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. Rick, could you come back slowly, phonetically with your call sign, please?
Yeah, Victor Echo 3, Ford Motor Company, Fox Mike Charlie.
Roger, Roger. And you're in St. Thomas, Canada?
Yeah, that's right, yep.
Roger, Roger. And what was the power rating?
What am I running?
Yeah, Roger.
About 700 watts. Go ahead.
Roger, we're running about 950 here, so just trying to get some idea of what I'm sounding like to you there. What's the antenna situation?
An inverted V, about 10 feet lower at the apex than what yours is. I believe you said you're up about 40. I'm up about 30 feet here on the apex of a fan dipole here for 40 and 80.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, I had to convert some of my guy lines for the tower to inverted V's. I didn't have much space, so push come to shove, and I had to use my chop my guy lines up to make inverted V's out of them. They're still strong, though, Roger.
Yeah, well, it's working good for you. No problem at all, and I think you're running I believe you said you're running a 990. Of equipment in the audio chain in front and an old Heath 220, is that correct?
Roger, Roger, yeah. The old Heathkit 220, man, I just love that machine. It just keeps on keeping on, you know?
Yeah, they're good old amps. I'm running, this is an AL88 that I'm running here at a single 3500Z, but yeah, those old 220s, they're workhorses.
Roger, Roger. So just out of curiosity, what is the temperature up that way?
Right now, 26 Fahrenheit and some snow, light snow falling. We had about, I guess from yesterday afternoon till this morning, we had about 4 inches of fresh snow.
Roger, Roger. So it must be antenna time. Get out there in that snow and work on your antenna?
Yeah,
No, I don't think so. I don't have any. I don't really have anything I want to do. I got a dipole, a 40-meter dipole made up here with some 450 ohm ladder line that I want to get up and play around with. But I'm in no hurry to go up on the roof there with 6 inches of snow on it and haul down an antenna and put another one up. I've had some warm days here where I should have got it done, but I just didn't bother. So no hurry at all, Jim. Go ahead.
Oh, roger that. Now, if you put that ladder line up there in place of the coax, you'll probably, as I just learned, pick up about maybe 10% more signal. Roger?
Yeah, I heard the other fellow telling you that, and I couldn't copy him that well when you were having that QSO with him. But I've had ladder line up before, and I had it up on a 40. I was feeding a 40-meter loop with it many years ago, and I had the loop on the other end of the house. I had to run the ladder line across the house, so I had to suspend it up off the roof there. It worked well until the loop loaded up with ice one winter there when I had some freezing rain, and it brought down the loop, folded the mast over that I had coming up out of the tower, and I never put it back up. So, and I've played with ladder line off and on over the years, but I've never brought it right into the shack. I did once years ago, probably back in about 1997, 98, 97. I brought some ladder line off an 80-meter loop right into the shack, but boy, I'll tell you, I had RF flying around in here like you wouldn't believe. I didn't have enough ladder line in line. I think that was part of the problem there. I had a pretty unbalanced antenna there, and I had RF on up on the higher band, so I scrapped that idea and took the 80-meter loop down and went to individual dipoles and whatnot. So, but this one I'm going to feed, I got about 40 feet of ladder line on it. It'll go up at about 30 feet at the apex. I'll bring the ladder line down to the roof, out away from the tower, then I'll suspend it down the tower for a little ways and over to a fence, tie it off a fence, and then bring it back towards the tower there. And I got a 4-to-1 balun in line with it right now. I'll try that, and if that doesn't play well, I'll put a 1-to-1 in, and then short coax stub to the remote coax switch, and then I'll have about 8 feet of coax into the shack. Go ahead.
Roger. Yeah, that's the way. I've heard of people using 2 strands of coax, actually doing the conversion from 50 ohms to 450 at the antenna tuner point, then running 2 pieces of like RG8 outside, and then tie the grounds together and then put the ladder line directly to each high side on the coax. I heard doing that way, making the just trying to get the ladder line out of the shack inside. Roger.
Yeah, I've read about guys doing that too. Well, in my case, it's kind of tough to bring the ladder line right into the tuner here. The tuner's on the right sitting on the desk here, on the main desk, and you got to bring it in. You got to run it past. Like I've got, I've actually did have some connections in the window pane here. I got a plexiglass window pane, and I had some standoffs in there that I could run ladder line into. But once it gets into the shack, it's got to go by my ground bar, and there's other coax floating around in here. It's pretty tough to just isolate that ladder line where my tuner's sitting. It's tough to isolate that ladder line away from any metal. Go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's the main drawback of ladder lines, is the having to keep the proximity to other metallic devices to a minimum. That is the problem with the ladder line. So that's why I guess a lot of people do their, switch to coax before they come into the shack from the ladder line. Well, gosh, it's doing you a great job there. And what did you say your mic was?
I have a AWHILE GM5 with the 4 and 5 cartridge in it. It's not the actual gold line, but it's the one that it's very similar to the gold line with the 4.5 cartridge.
Roger. Sounds beautiful, man. Sounds beautiful. Great audio signal coming in 5.9 times 2, Roger.
Yeah, okay. All right, thanks a lot. Yeah, you're good too. You're F9 plus here. And I'm running the radio on the 400 hertz bandwidth here, on the transmit bandwidth. And then I've done some adjustments on the EQ settings in the radio. Actually, Bob Heil is the guy that designed the EQ parameters for these Yaesus. So I got some information from Bob on it. But he's the guy that designed the EQ parameters in these. Well, I've got an FT950, and his parameters are in it, and they're in this rig here too. So it works well. I got a few other old rigs. I got like an FT950 sitting here. I got a pair of Kenwood TS820s, and I got a Drake R4C for the TX4B transmitter that I'm going to get reworked. And I just recently picked up a TR4 here. I have not had that TR4 on the air. I'm waiting for some parts to come in and rebuild the power supply, or the Drake AC4 power supply, before I go ahead and hook that TR4 up to it, and then get some work done on the. I got tubes sitting here for the TX4B, so just waiting for the power supply parts to come in, and then that'll get rebuilt. And I got a friend of mine that's going to realign the TX4B here for me, so I'll get it on the air here sometime in a month or so down the road. And that'll be the station here. Go ahead.
Oh, roger that, roger that. Well, you know, first thing you learn in amateur radio is how to vertically stack. And I have a vertical stack on the table here, but at the bottom of the stack is a two-package TR4C, and it was given to us when we took our first technician's license test. I was looking for TR4C, or well, I was looking for the Drake radio on a TR4C specifically, and as I was leaving, I just turned and asked the examining engineers if anybody knew where I might find a TR4C for sale, and one of them said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal you can't refuse. I've got one I'll give to you. And he did. It had been in mothballs for 10 years. We brought it up slowly over a 3-day period, and it's still running great today, and that was like 6 years ago. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for Drake radios and the TR4C specifically. Well, let me say threes up that way. I've enjoyed the QSO, and you're sounding good down this way. Roger, roger.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just... I was going to check your YouTube videos out there, your recordings of guys that you've recorded. I don't know whether you did mine, but I'll go have a look. And I see your YouTube links here on your QRZ page. So I'll go have a look there and see what you got there. Good to meet you, Jim. And I'll run into you again here, I'm sure, on the air. We will, I think in between you and I, we'd have a pretty good path day in, day out when you're on the air. I'd probably hear you all the time there. 73 for now. Take care and stay warm down there. KC9, let's see, now I got to go up here and look at it. VKV, the 3 Fox Mike Charlie, 73.
Roger, roger. Rick, do you have a band scope?
No, I don't know.
Okay, thank you, sir. Threes to you, and I will post this. I've just been running video for the whole time here, so I've got maybe 6 QSO'S. I usually breaking up individually and post them individually, but I think what I'll do on this one is just put them all back to back, just like it was. So threes up there way, Rick, and you have a real good day. It's KC9VKV.
Okay, Jim, take care. 73, all the best. Thanks for the QSO. The 3 Fox Mike Charlie.
There was another station in there. Other station, try again, please. Something AG. I got Kilo Echo. Give me the rest.
8 India, Lima, Quebec, /AG.
Roger, Roger. This is KC9VKV, Jim, up around Louisville. Well, actually, Indiana, just on the other side of Louisville. Roger, Roger.
Good afternoon, Jim. This is Kevin. I'm in Paintsville, Ohio, just east of Cleveland.
Roger, Roger, Kevin. Come up on that mic, sir. You need a little more volume. Come up on the mic.
Okay, I may have to do some adjustments. Is that better?
Much better, much better.
All right, this is my first time using this radio, so it looks like I got to stick the mic in my mouth to work it, so I'll have to make some tweaking.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, it sounds a lot better. You probably, if you've got a gain control somewhere, you might want to boost it up, maybe 10 or 15%, Roger, for sure to start.
Okay, let's try that.
This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor.
Is it KC9VKV?
Yeah, I can hear, I can hear the microphone clunk and whatever, and your voice level, should come on up. Maybe, like I say, the closer you get to the mic, the better, the louder you get,
Okay, I'll try to work it out. Thank you very much. This is KC9VKV. Clear.
Roger, Roger, Kevin, 3's underway. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor, Kilo Victor.
Whiskey 4, Victor Juliet, Uniform.
KC9VKV, K3 Delta, Papa Tango.
Papa Tango station, go ahead.
Yeah, Kilowatt 3 Delta, Papa Tango. Tim, Tango India Mike in Annapolis, Maryland. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. Tim?
Roger, Tim, Tango India Mike.
Roger, Tim. This is Jim. Juliet India Mike. We're in Indiana, just across the Ohio River from Louisville. Roger.
Roger that. I've been listening to you for a while. I heard you talking about some high-power transmitters. I live in Annapolis, and we had the low-frequency transmitter that the Navy used to communicate with their submarines in the Med, about 5 miles from here. The center of it was a vertical 1,204 feet high with a capacity hat on the top because it wasn't quite long enough. And the transmitter ran, I think, 100 kW. It was water-cooled. I heard you mention water-cooled. We took a tour of the station after just before they dismantled it. It was quite impressive.
Roger, now, as you were sitting down to eat dinner, did the thing start to move around on the table like a Ouija board?
No, but I'll tell you what, we had a sailboat. Back in the day, we didn't have GPS, we had LORAN, and we had, if we were coming up the bay using LORAN to navigate, when they had that thing on, you couldn't count on the LORAN being too accurate.
Oh, Roger, Roger, yeah. My hometown is West Palm Beach, and this was like in the 60s, I guess, 50s and 60s. They had a LORAN station up around Jupiter, Florida, or thereabouts. And, man, this thing was, I think, about 1650 KC or 1625 KC, somewhere up at the top of the band. And, boy, when they were running that thing, and they ran it most all the time, it just tore up the top end of the band, Roger.
Yeah, well, those days are gone. They ditched LORAN for GPS. It's funny, the Naval Academy is now teaching their sailors to how to navigate by the stars. I guess that they dropped that for a while, but I guess they decided that if GPS ever went down, they'd all be lost at sea.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I guess, the only thing you can count on is the stars, hopefully.
Well, if they start disappearing, we're all going to be gone, so it won't matter. Anyway, I'm using an ICOM 7610 with a AWHILE mic. I'm wondering, since you're in broadcasting, how it sounds.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'd like to see a little more RF from you, but you know, the band is not in the best shape this morning. But the audio is sounding really good, Roger.
Okay, well, that's what I was worried about. I wasn't worried about it. It's just this is the first software-defined radio I've ever had. It doesn't have sliders, as you say. It's got knobs, so it's SDR in a box. It looks better than it did when I first got it on the scope, and I hope it sounds halfway decent. I'm mostly a DXer, and that's my mission in life, is to work all of them. I got one more to go, and there's nobody there to work.
Roger, Roger. Do you have any adjustment right at the top of the audio frequency?
Oh, yeah.
It could use just a tad more syllabic range. That's in the S's, you know, just for articulation. That's where, you know, you really can define a word if you can hear just the super top side of it, the S's, you know, as opposed to not being able to hear those very well, Roger. And if you did have something there around, I don't know, just like whatever your top end is, just maybe boost, you know, a couple of clicks.
All right, stand by a sec. Okay, that's 2 clicks.
Ah, much better, sir. Much better. Try one more.
Okay, that's one more.
I like it. I like it. It's a lot more defined in the top end, Roger.
Roger. Well, thank you. When I heard you say you were in broadcasting, you do sound like you should be in broadcasting now. Go ahead.
Roger. Well, I spent 50 years, and I got out before Clear Channel, Roger. Clear Channel and iHeartRadio.
I see. Yeah. Well, you certainly have the voice. I think a lot of people with software-defined radios think they're going to sound like you after they get through, but I haven't heard too many of them make it that far.
Roger. What was your top-end frequency range?
I'm in mid-range now. I'm seeing it up about right at the top, 2800.
Roger, Roger. Now, if you look at mine, what do you see? Am I 3? Audio check 1, 2, 3, 4.
I see you up about 2500. Is that right?
Yeah, this is actually a 2.4 radio, but usually I've got EQ curve going into it a little steeper than the roll-off curve, so we usually extend out to about 3.
Yeah, I haven't seen it go that high, but it looks better than most. You know, most people either are way down at the bottom trying to sound like Walter Cronkite, or they're just all over the place.
Roger. Now, I did put a inline transformer, isolation transformer from the preamp to the EQ, so it might actually be rolling off some of the top end. I should replace that. I don't think I need that transformer after I checked it out, Roger.
Yeah, could be. I'm not an audiophile, so I'm not the best person to talk to about it. And as I said, I'm a DXer. That's my main mission in life.
Roger, Roger. Well, as a DXer now, what kind of antenna system do you have?
At the current time, I only have a stepper 4-element beam with a 40-meter, a 40-30 meter loop in the middle. That's what I'm using now. I've got a 3-band dipole that it went south for the winter, and I haven't been out there to fix it. I don't know what happened to it, but the SWR went out of sight on it. I've got radials in the ground for a 160-meter inverted L, but I haven't pulled it back up in the air yet. I will before the leaves get on the trees, I hope. That's about it. The stepper's a fantastic antenna. I see no SWR no matter where I go in range. Go ahead.
Roger, Roger. And Tim, what's your location?
I'm about 5 miles west of Annapolis.
Annapolis or Indianapolis?
No, Annapolis, Maryland, where the Naval Academy is.
Oh, Roger, Roger. Okay. Just Annapolis. Let me get that down. Maryland. Okay. And what kind of signal are we giving you, sir?
You're between 10 and 15 over 9 most of the time. You've had some deep phase here lately. I guess we're going to lose the propagation shortly.
Yeah, it has been rolling off a little bit. Audio, you say sound all right?
I'm sorry, what?
The audio sounds all right?
Oh, I think your audio sounds great.
It sounds, it's smooth. It's not, it doesn't kick you in the head when you start to talk or hit the highs or lows. And I think you got it just right.
Roger, Roger. Well, thank you very much, sir, and I appreciate the contact. You have a real good day up that way, Roger.
Roger that, and thank you for the assistance. I hope to see you again or hear you again, and we'll have a little chat next time the propagation guys let us make it. K3DPT.
Roger, Roger, and you know what the name of the game is. It's the not the peak of the modulation, but the average peak of the modulation. So the better you can get that signal up there and staying up there, the better off, you know. So when you are able to bring up your average percentage of modulation, you just sound, you know, tremendously louder than what you actually are. Anyway, so that's the name. That's what I try to do, is keep that average modulation percentage up. 3 is that way, and have a good day. It's KC9VKV.
Okay, Jim, thanks a lot, and we'll see you again. K3DPT.